The adventure continues this week on Ford Outfitters.
In a foot of crystal clear water, and they're the spookiest animals on earth.
It's all going to be sight fishing, hopefully on gin clear flats, and these fish are gigantic. You son of a... Probably the biggest carp in the lower 48. For me, it's definitely a top destination for the fly rod. Got him. Man, that guy hit that thing so hard.
Fred Eichler has taken all 29 species recognized by Pope and Young with a recurve bow. Conway Bowman cracked the code for Mako sharks on the fly. The outdoors has led them to adventures around the world. Now, two of North America's most accomplished sportsmen and their Ford trucks are on a mission to learn the secrets and stories of America's best outfitters. This is The Outfitters, built by Ford F-Series.
I'm headed northbound up the eastern coast of Lake Michigan. I'm going to hop a ferry to Beaver Island, which is in the middle of Lake Michigan, the northern part of Lake Michigan. And I'm going to fish with Kevin Morlock, who is the premier guide on Beaver Island for targeting very large carp with a fly rod. I am a carp nut. I love fly fishing for carp. It's one of my favorite fish. And Beaver Island is the mecca for fly fishing for carp in gin clear waters. Call Kevin Morlock.
Calling Kevin Morlock on cell.
Hello.
Hey Kevin, it's Conway Bowman.
Good to hear from you.
How you doing?
I'm good, other than these gray skies.
Oh man, it's terrible over here on the mainland too. I'm getting ready to hop the ferry. What's the game plan?
You know, the good news, we've had a lot of warm weather the last couple of days, and there's still some warm water lingering in some pockets. I did some scouting and I found a few fish. I'm hoping they're still going to be there when you get here.
Oh great, so we'll be able to fish today?
I'm planning on it, yes.
Oh great, fantastic. All right Kevin, see you later. That's good news. I love carp and I'm stoked I can actually get out on the water today, so just keep my fingers crossed. So getting to Beaver Island, you drive the northbound on the eastern side of Lake Michigan. You take a ferry from Charlevoix, and then you shuttle about 2 hours. It's a very quaint little island. It has a population of like 400 people during the winter. I mean, it's fairly small, but it's a cool place.
You know, I grew up in southwest Michigan, and we always had a cabin about 2.5 hours north near Pentwater and Leadington. So I don't ever remember not fishing. We had the cabin by a little lake, and I was just a fishing fiend. I got into carp fishing years and years ago. I was at a board meeting for a river conservation group, and the guy sitting next to me just got back from a camping trip, and he's telling me about catching these great big carp up in the Upper Peninsula on a fly. I literally packed up my stuff and headed up to that spot that he told me about. Walked right out with a black woolly booger like he said, and there were carp there, and within 5 casts I was into my first carp on a fly. I don't think anyone's ever had it that easy, but it hasn't been that easy since. But I was just crazy about it. No one's doing it. I would cover hundreds of miles touring around northern Lake Michigan, and then I finally sniffed Beaver Island out as my favorite place there was.
All right, Kev, you drive. How's
Sounds
that?
good.
All right, let me put my gear back here. All right. Man, I can't wait to get out there. I'm glad we're going to be able to fish today.
Me too.
Let's go catch some carp.
Sounds good.
Where are we headed, Kev?
You know, we're going over to the west side of the island, a place we call Indian Point. It's a flooded area with a lot of little ponds and places where the fish have been getting up in the shallows. We took a little tour of the island. We're driving by this place out on one of the points that goes around. Conway spots some water moving and a tail come out of the water. So obviously we parked the truck, waded up, and headed in. You know, we walked out here, and you know what we thought might be was put my hand in the water, cold. Walked down quite a bit. We didn't see any sign of any fish.
Even though we didn't catch any fish and we knew we probably weren't gonna have much luck, stepping out on these flats is pretty cool. You know, we gave it a shot.
You know, the weather still doesn't look that good for tomorrow, but I've got a bigger area that holds a little more warm water. I'm hoping there's gonna be fish in there that we can dabble on.
The Outfitters is brought to you by the Ford F-150, the future of tough.
So I woke up and I looked out the window and the weather sucked. It was terrible. I mean, it was rainy, it looked like it was cold. So I met up with Kevin and he said that he was going to take me to a spot where there are some carp in super shallow water, but they're in grass. I'm like, I've never fished them in grass before. So we hop in the F-150 and we start out of town, then we hit a dirt road. And the next thing you know, we're on another dirt road. And the next thing you know, we're basically on a fairly rugged dirt road deep into the Beaver Island forest. Very tight corridors, one lane. I mean, it was absolutely beautiful. But I'm kind of going to myself, where the heck are we going? We go through the forest and we pull out and all of a sudden we're right at the bank of Lake Michigan. We get out of the truck and there were fish literally right on the bank. I mean, very close to the truck in inches of water.
All right, partner, what side you going to?
You tell me.
Ah, you choose. I'm gonna go the other way.
I'll go this way.
All right, let's go around through here. Walk soft.
You weren't kidding, they'll be right at my feet.
We only got one chance not to mess it up.
Oh, great.
So being a good host, I said, do you want to go right or left? And he chose to go over to the left. So I headed right. It was really hard to see when we first got in there. And you reach out and you're trying to get around all those weeds and you get that fly in there and get it sunk in front of that fish.
This wasn't the sort of Beaver Island fly fishing I was anticipating. It was basically more dabbling, and that's what he was calling it, dabbling.
There we go.
There's no casting involved whatsoever. Way to go, Kev. And I look over and Kevin is hooked up to a huge carp.
I'm trying to hold her tight so she doesn't mess up all the other fish. Wasn't the biggest carp around, but he's still a nice 10, 12 pound fish.
And this fish has got him basically wrapped in the weeds. You can see his fly line going around and he's fighting the fish, changing rod angles. And finally, he got the fish to hand. And I didn't realize how big it was.
Hey, Conway.
Awesome.
Fun getting them in these weeds, man.
And that's what I came to Beaver Island to catch, a really big carp. But to Kevin, that was basically a small one.
Smallest one I've caught all season. Some of these spots just don't look like the Great Lakes or Lake Michigan, but you know, the waters came up almost 3 feet in 2 years, so we've got all of these pockets and ponds, and some of them the fish can't get into yet, and then some of them the fish have got a way to get in there, and then they're in this little pond that has much warmer water than the main lake. But it's just last year and again this year, so it's new to us. Oh. Nice job, Conway.
Oh.
Is it a nice fish?
Oh, yeah.
Awesome.
I threw to so many of them, and I mean, dropped the fly right on their nose, and then, oh no, no. I got it.
He's got it. Look at this.
I got it. That was probably one of the craziest things I've ever done in fishing.
Yeah! That was awesome.
I was not gonna let this guy get away. First of all, stoked I hooked the fish. Motivated that I had a great fight. I was not gonna let this guy, look, he broke the fly.
Was it you weren't gonna let the fly get away or the fish?
The fish. Yeah. I got plenty more of these flies. Oh.
I don't know how he caught it and tackled it, but it's the first carp tackle I've ever seen.
He was heading for open water too, man. Open field tackle. And that is why you come to Beaver Island right there, man. That is beautiful. God, that is great. Look at that fish, man. That is big. Oh, wow.
That was great. I got your fly.
Oh, good. Oh, shoot. Obviously, that one didn't want to eat. So we're working our way back to the F-150. And I look, and there's a huge fish right in front of me. And I said to myself, I'm gonna make a cast on this fish. So I made a cast, dropped the fly right in front of the fish, made one strip, boom, and he hit it. Got him. Yeah, baby. So here I go again. You know, it's like a rodeo. This fish is taking me in the bushes, and it really took me into the bushes this time. Come here, you. It's like walking a dog. Fly comes out of the fish's mouth. No. And the carp wiggles around and wiggles right out of my hand. But yeah, it's fishing. And it's always cool to lose a fish once in a while. It kind of gets you grounded. Good option on a bad weather day, that's for sure.
It was fun.
After I lost that fish, Kevin and I decided to just head back to the F-150 and head back to town. But that was a great day. I've never fished carp like that before, and it was a very unique experience catching carp that close, dangling the fly right off the rod tip, and catching big fish.
Coming up on The Outfitters,
I made 100 casts at least, to 100 fish at least. Oh no! This ought to be interesting.
I think there's some other places that have as good a fishing as Beaver Island, but Beaver Island has awesome accommodations, the friendliest people you've ever met, great food, and there's no better fishing out there. So the morning started a little bit better. It wasn't raining. The wind was not too bad, but it was still gray. Looking at the weather, it wasn't supposed to clear off until early afternoon.
Hit the zoom button. You're gonna follow the black line. Carp pump me up, period. They are a big game fish. And for a fly angler who specifically sight fishes to a fish, the carp is one of the best. And it rivals any fish in freshwater. And in my opinion, it rivals any fish in saltwater. So we're talking bonefish, permit. They act very similar to those saltwater species. But the great thing is, all right, let's go catch some carp.
Sounds good.
Can't wait. You're catching them in freshwater, and they're pretty much in every body of water around the United States, if not the world. So the carp is abundant. It's readily available for a fly angler, whether it's in his or her backyard, or they can travel to a place like Beaver Island. But the great thing is you get many, many shots at carp. So they're the ultimate freshwater game fish on the fly, in my opinion.
Ready to take off?
Let's do it.
So I think what people are most astonished with when they come here, especially flats fishermen that have been all over the world, it is just Caribbean looking. I mean, you've got this turquoise water and these tan shadings and these massive flats. Really isn't what they're expecting to see, and they're blown away by the endless miles of these big fish and how much water we have to cover.
Come on, carpies.
The first spot I went to is we headed over to Hog Island. We anchored the boat over on the calm side, walked about 100 yards over to the windward side.
A few bugs around here, huh?
Phew, thank goodness they don't bite. I think one of the things about the carp here, when they're tough as anything. Maybe even permit tough. The only difference is we don't get 2 or 3 or 5 shots a day. We get hundreds of shots a day. So we can sometimes have 10, 20 fish days, but it's only because we get 500 shots. These fish are so spooky and so hard to approach. It makes for a really tough fish. Conway and I, talked. We were seeing quite a few fish cruising out in a little bit deeper water. He decided to stay out there and shoot for those. I worked the cattails and the shallows where there were a few fish tucked in here and there, and I kept working my way over to this little pond that they love spawning in and they love hanging out in. It's really slow. I had a few follows. I dabbled some more and dabbled some more. I'm not kidding, I probably hit 30 to 50 fish. Finally, this one has got its nose right up in the weeds. There we go. Just sucked it right up, I mean, finally.
He's got a huge fish, look at that.
You gotta keep trying, right?
Awesome, good.
If you're only gonna get one fish, at least it's a big one.
Maybe I'll take his lead and go fish the weed line. I mean, I've beat this area up pretty good.
Oh, I'm gonna guess that fish was in the 30-pound range.
Oh, right here. Oh, spooked him again.
Finally worked that hard and you get a great big fish and you get tangled in a root.
Might be a little tougher in this shallow water.
Wow, in the weeds, look at this. Look at this pig. So we're in this area for a couple of hours. Neither of us have hooked up. I let go of my fish, I spin around. Oh, got him, there he is.
Oh, man, that was killer.
Conway's hooked up.
Oh, he's taking me into the weeds. Oh, no, not again.
Nice job, Conway.
Man, I saw you got a really nice one down there.
Yeah. What? We've been in here for 2 hours. What, bang, bang. Did you feel that water warming up on your legs?
Just when I walked back here.
Yeah.
I mean, outside, it's still pretty cool.
He must have had that fish on for 10 minutes and then it's fighting like a pretty nice fish.
Yeah. Oh, he's off. You gotta be kidding me. I mean, you work hard all day. You get into a perfect situation, you get a fish to take, and you lose him. God. I wasn't upset, I was just more like, gosh darn it, are you kidding me? After working so hard all day. But that was a big fish. Actually, I didn't see a fish probably under 20 pounds today, and I saw some fish that were in the 40-pound range. So fish are here. I'm not getting nervous yet. Carp fishing, you know, the hours aren't your typical up at sunrise and, you know, hitting the spot early.
You know, we meet up with the customers, we launch the boats at about 9, and then, I hate to say it, but this time of year, we usually piddle around for hours until the bite warms up in the afternoon. I'm pretty excited about the day. The sun's out, blue skies, great. One little problem, the wind had shifted about 90 degrees to the east. What that does is it blows out your warm water and replaces it with cold water from the deeper depths. And then you've got to wait a little while for the warm water to build up in a new area. But at least the sun's out.
Got a bunch of fish stacked up back here. So today started out in the same spot that Kevin and I fished the day previous, but instead of being in a boat, we decided to walk. And it was pretty soft. It was hard walking, but right off the bat had shots, but it was tough. I was struggling casting for whatever reason, and Kevin basically said, your leader's too long to throw a really heavy fly, and we were throwing very, very heavy flies. And so I shortened that up, and once I shortened that leader up, got him.
Got it, nice job.
Everything kind of came together.
Woohoo!
Look at that guy go. Whoo! You know, that's as hard a fishing as I've ever done with a fly, to be honest with you. I mean, for permit, bonefish,
Another month it'll feel pretty Bahama-y.
Bahama-ish.
Bahama-ish.
These fish are so dense and so broad that when you fight them, it's just like, I mean, you can't even move them. Oh, man.
Want me to grab your rod?
Yeah. The fish was a tremendous fighter. Got it up to the shoreline. Oh my God. You gotta be kidding me. I almost fell over actually trying to get it to hand. Another sort of faux pas for me during the day. I got him though. Beaver Island carp, folks. You know, it's been a little bit of a challenge these past couple of days. But at the end of the day, that's what you come for. I think it's the best freshwater fishing experience you can do. People say they're ugly. I think they're kind of cool looking. Beautiful and gold, and they have those great scales. Released the fish, and then we decided, you know, let's get out of here because we had spooked all the other fish. We looked and no fish were around.
So we got a fish that's a start. We come on over to the second spot, and we walked across this point, and it had quite a few fish in it.
I wasn't seeing fish right off the bat, to be honest with you. It's like, I'm like, oh man, this is gonna be tough.
In fact, when we really got deep into it, it had hundreds of fish in it, and they started out really stingy.
So I'm putting on a lighter fly because I'm working in less than a foot of water.
Changing fly patterns, getting frustrated, spooking fish, ultra spooky fish. I went through my whole fly box, about 6 patterns. I started and tied on a crayfish again. And my first cast, I had a fish try and get it, and it lost it in the weeds.
Nice.
You know, you talk about things changing. The fish calmed down as that water warmed up. They got happy, they got hungry, and flipped out another cast, and that fish nailed it. Second cast.
There you go, baby.
Fish. Conway,
Yeah.
back to that first crawfish. That was 2 in a row right there. This looks like it could be a pretty good sized fish. Persistence pays off, I guess. 1,000,000 casts, half dozen line changes, weeds all over your hook that you got to pull off every other cast. That is a nice fish, nice fish. Hey Conway, give me a hand with this thing, yeah?
We got that fish in. Oh my gosh, look at the size of this fish. This was a tremendous fish, beautiful fish. Oh, that thing is monstrous. And on the fly and sight casting. I mean, you can't beat that. You can't beat it. How big is this fish thing?
High 20s, you
Oh,
know?
God.
Yeah.
That's the reward of your hard work right there, man. That is great.
We went from making 1,000 casts of fish with almost no success, I guess 1, to having 3 fish landed in half hour. Got him. Nice.
Yes! Man, that guy hit that thing so hard. Carp are a very, very interesting fish in that they feed when the environment is correct for them. The water temperature, the food item is correct. You aren't kidding. This fish hit this crawdad pattern so hard.
Nice.
And that's why there's such a great challenge on the fly rod. A great fish to sight fish to with a fly. And Beaver Island is the place to do it. Woo! Finally! Oh, Kevin really had a great game plan in terms of where we were gonna go. After this, actually after your fish, And now you know, we put the crawdad pattern on mine, and we got this one. I'm feeling real good, really, really good. What we were going to do and how to adjust the equipment. There he is. Gotcha.
Another one already?
Yeah. What do you think? Thanks for that crawdad pattern.
Oh, you're
Look
welcome.
at this guy just running out to open lake. And I don't fish here all the time. So having an outfitter like Kevin guide you through that really pays off. I mean, it really does, because going through all those challenges, seeing all those fish, making all those adjustments, and at the end of the day, you capitalize and you score a touchdown, you bring those fish to hand, makes it all that much better. So I'm gonna get him back in the water. Man, good show, man.
Absolutely.
Crawdad pattern.